Hi, my name is Emma. I'm a CVT here at DoveLewis. I'm going to go over how to properly run a Parvo snap test. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can do it manually. There are also machines like we have over here, the Snap Pro. You want to be intentional with how you use these machines and in particular what test you're running and samples you're using. I don't necessarily always want to be using a machine that is used by everybody for a sample that is extremely contagious and highly concerning. So we're going to be doing this one manually today. First thing to consider when you are getting a Parvo snap test going, you want to be intentional with how you collect the sample. A lot of people who work in practice will tend to swab the back of the throat, get some cells around the back of the throat, as well as a rectal sample. If you talk to the IDEX manufacturers, they actually recommend not doing an oral swab and not even doing a rectal swab. Their ideal recommendation is to use a sample that the patient has already defecated, or you can go in and do a fecal loop and get a sample via fecal loop and then apply that sample to your swab. You don't want to put too much material on the swab. It can affect the ratio of the solution used during the test. And you want to have enough. So you want to have a nice coating around the swab, not too much, not too little. Once you have your sample, I use a multiple glove technique. Once I'm collecting my sample, I take off one layer of gloves so that I'm still wearing gloves, that I'm not touching a contaminated swab. And then I'll just be intentional with where things are located, having everything prepped and ready so that there is no touching or contaminating other surface areas as well, and very clearly labeling isolation situations when we have stuff like Parvo tests being involved. I have my sample. We have our little bulb up top here, and it gets snapped twice. So I'm going to snap it one way, and we're going to snap it the other way. All right, now that we're snapped, you can tell that the sample is already starting to get sucked up into the bulb here. We are going to squeeze to mix the solution with the sample. We're only going to do that 3 times. 1, 2, 3. If you do it more than 3 times, you can again mess with the dilution of the medication. You can over dilute the sample. And sometimes when we're having issues with Parvo snap test results, that is one question that I'll ask. If we've had issues as a hospital in the past and you talk to an IDEX provider, they always want to make sure that you're only squeezing the bulb 3 times. Same with the administration of the drops. We're only going to be administrating 5 drops to our snap test well. Again, the amount put in matters based on how this test was prepared. So over here we have our snap test itself. You have 3 dots here. The very top one here is your positive, your positive control. So we do want that one to show up. That would indicate that this is properly interpreting the test results, as well as our negative control over here. You typically won't see a negative control pop up, which is what we want to see. But as long as it is still lighter than the patient sample, if it does come up positive, it is still considered a appropriate quality control test. So we're ready to go here, and I already have a timer set up and ready for my 8 minutes. I'm going to drop these into my well. 1, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5. And we will just wait a moment. I am waiting for the solution to get up to this teeny tiny little well here. And the moment I do, I'm going to snap the test down. I recommend using the bottom of your hand. It actually takes quite a bit of force. All right, so it's coming into the well, so palm on the snap and leverage down. All right, I am also double gloved for this. I'm going to unglove, start my timer, collect my sample, and then we are going to put this in our isolation waste bin. Once our timer goes off, we're going to interpret our results and then dispose of everything appropriately based on your hospital's isolation policy. One more thing to add is if you ever have any questions, if you're not sure, if somebody isn't more senior there to help give you some guidance, the pamphlets and the box that the samples, test kit come with their own pamphlets. It is always the easiest decision. If you're unsure of what to do, always go to the pamphlet. It'll literally tell you what to do. The interpretation of the results are here as well. So if you're feeling a little unsure, you can look for guidance here. There's also a IDEX distributor phone number here for you to call if you have any additional questions.